Hi, welcome back to Hornthrowers. We're joined by Lust Hag. It's nice to actually speak to you because I was uh,
Violently ill.
violently ill well, the last time you were on the show with Olivia. Hi.
Yeah, it's really nice to be back on and to see you again, Olivia. It's great to finally meet you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was sad because all of the topics that came up seemed to be like right in my wheelhouse, like my love of like Enya and things like that. And I was like, damn it, I missed it.
you do love Anya.
Mm.
The best part is I still like Enya.
Oh, excellent.
I think it's probably a litmus test of some sort if someone doesn't like Anya.
It's like there's like a metal comedian in the UK that has like this whole bit about Enya, like how can you hate Enya? It's just silence colored in. It's like looking at a flower open and go, that is disgusting.
That's that's a good way to put it. I heard like a mother and daughter yesterday at the record store that I work at, and the mom was like, "Have you ever listened to Enya?" And her daughter's like, "No, I've never heard of Enya." And then she goes like, "Oh my God, we're gonna have so much fun in the car." It was like an exciting little moment to witness. Then they bought an Enya CD.
Yeah.
So we start off. The album's been out for a little while. How do you think it's gone?
Um,
The uh,
I'd
reception.
say like it's different from any of my other projects because Lust Hag tends to be kind of pretty. Um, but I tried to make the full length like really heavy, and I think it translated well because the reception has been like overwhelmingly positive. People are being so kind and supportive, and it's cool to see like now that um the physical releases are starting to like make their way out to people and getting like, tagged in posts where they have my cute little tape and it came in this adorable package from Thea Productions, and I don't know. It's a little dream come true for sure.
It's really cool. I've ordered the vinyl, but I tend to bulk buy everything from Fear and then get it like months later because I that's
Same. Yeah, that's kind of the relationship we have too
yeah.
now.
Last time I bought a Wild and Woe shirt as well, and then you wanted one, and I paid so much in shipping fees because it ships to the UK that I was like, oh, well, I can afford a whole other shirt with all of these shipping fees.
But to be fair, like Barry Ann just yeah, like condensed it all. And then
Yeah.
I won a Dragnipor tape by being a giant colossal nerd on Facebook
Mm.
because he was like, if anybody could name all the titles of this character from the fantasy book series that inspired this tape, I'll give you the tape for free. And I was like, I gave like two alternate answers because I didn't know how technical she wanted me to be. And then that sparked a really cool, like friendship where we just like nerd out about Malazan Book of the Fallen for like hours, and it's nice.
That's awesome.
So like reading the blurb, um, like the story of like the nameless hag, like would you like to explain that allegory, like the story in the album of the nameless hag?
Oh, like yeah, so lyrically the album tells like a story. It's all kind of linear. The songs go in order. And you never really get to a conclusion because it's sort of like a never-ending story. So it does leave off on it's sort of open-ended, I guess, as far as how you interpret the story. Um, but you follow the nameless hag through. There's a mountain valley scape where you've got Catastrolicus on one end of this big mountain wall, and you have to go over a pass to get to um, Trudgemore. And then basically there's a third valley further down that follows a river and leads you to a place called Verulica, which has sort of become this like sanctuary. And I like to think of it all as just like sort of like everyday life representative of like my hurdles and maybe hardships I go through. It's all just like really personal stuff translated into like a fantasy story.
That's cool. Like, so it's like kind of, is it literally just kind of like progressing on that journey, like valley to valley, or is there like any kind of like key narrative beats there?
So
Like,
right now, there's like a big war going on between the two main valleys, and there are characters like there's an an older woman who's kind of like the mother of the community named Miriam, and she makes like these magical swords, these incredible swords, and has all this like knowledge and guidance, and sort of um falls into this bit of a trap, and so she needs to be rescued. And um there's another older character from the story in previous EPs and stuff that got written out in this, without giving away too many spoilers, I guess, but it's not like the main focus of the album. I'd say like mainly Lust Hag is just like about the riffs. The lyrics are a bit of an afterthought.
That's still cool. I'm like a sucker for a concept album, so
Yeah.
that's why I was kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, it's
tell me
like
more.
sort of like it was an afterthought that kind of like got out of hand and has become its own thing.
Have you thought like about like expanded it? Like, you know how like some bands, for some reason, the only thing I can think of is like Coheed and Cambria, where they have like the whole comic book. Have you thought about like expanding the story like in like an actual story, or like you're just gonna stick it to music, or
Like Rhapsody.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if like the visual aspect would be a I'd have to like hire somebody for that, because I wouldn't really be motivated or feel much interest at all in like drawing a comic book. Or I would love to write the story part, but
yeah, I just meant like any which way. But at least you're
Because
honest. Like you're like, I don't care. Because I don't want to draw.
I mean, like some
I
bands,
just like I like making music. That's like
Yeah.
all I do.
like some bands have done novelizations. Like the power metal band Rhapsody did, like because they had like that 6 album long cycle that they like actually wrote a novel about the entire concept of that. And I think you can get it like it's like the Saga of the Emerald Sword or something it's called.
Yeah.
But
I
so
didn't really I never really listened to Rhapsody.
oh, they're fun.
They
I
sound
think if that like were to happen for Lust Hag, it would likely be like it'd be like a if you had a booklet, one panel would be like a song's lyrics, and then the other side would be like an image representing sort of the overall, maybe like a moment in the story or something. But I don't know if I'd like write out a visual for the whole story. It would be cool to have them all
Yeah,
like compiled as like a book or something though, or like a little zine.
yeah,
yeah,
that would
no,
be really
scenes are
cool.
cool. The thing about like the weapons and stuff leads me as a nice little segue to the song "The Dagger of Magdalene." Like that is like my favorite song on the album. Like it's
Which
so
one is that? That's track 3.
the one with like the really cool like synthy bit in it, and then there's like some dive bombs afterwards. It's like really dynamic. I was listening to it
It's
like,
got like the dun dun
yeah,
dun part too.
We
Like
did that
that
we did
one's
that
all over the
last
place.
week, the week before,
we
didn't
did,
we?
yeah.
Like we played it on the radio. Probably would have played something else last week, but the internet crapped out here.
The internet did crap out. Yeah, no, I really like because there's another thing I wanted to say. Like the album is like really dynamic. Like, is that something you consciously like try to craft, or do you naturally write dynamic songs, or do you think like, oh, this would be cool if it was like this? That's a very convoluted question.
Um, I guess sort of the process as far as that goes is like if I write a really heavy riff, I kind of have an idea already of like what should come after it, because you just start like humming along all these ideas and stuff, and they'll start popping up in your head. And, so everything kind of just comes naturally, but I'll think like, okay, I've been like doing like a tremolo pick blast beat riff for, a good long time now. I should probably slow it down, or I should switch it up into something more melodic. But um, you also kind of, set out to write a song and never really know exactly what you're going to end up with.
No, that's a pretty interesting point.
So you kind of like you take like a more kind of organic approach and just kind of go with your gut because it's kind of
I
like
just
a
start playing. I get the guitar and I just start like playing whatever,
yeah.
making shapes and
That makes sense because like
Yeah.
like an allegory that's kind of like applied to writers, but I guess suppose it applies to music as well. Like, that there are architects and there are gardeners, and like some people, architects will plan things out from the very beginning, but then like a gardener will just basically just watch things grow. Uh,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's true until you
Excuse
watch
me.
videos about gardening and realize how technical they are, and they look
Yeah, and they're
like
actually like
I think the thing is like
planting seedlings and
yeah,
propagating and stuff.
I think like the kind of like wider point that was like made was like that gardeners do put in some work at the beginning and kind of like the planning stages of, oh, I'm going to plant this here, there, and there, but it grows and develops in ways that are unexpected. Whereas an
No,
architect,
like figuratively and metaphorically, like that, it's a perfect analogy because you don't
yeah,
ever, you could do all of that preparation and have like the most streamlined approach to it, but then you're never gonna have like total control over what comes out.
yeah,
Um, like the plant that grows, that's so many factors determine what you end up with.
yeah.
And a lot of it's just totally out of your control entirely.
yeah. I suppose then like the seeds would be like in this analogy would be like the influences as
I
well.
can't claim total credit for that. I've stolen it from Tolkien.
Well, the
Like
gardener's quote.
the analogy, yeah.
Oh, that's not
Because he like
surprising.
famously said like the tale grew in the telling when he set out to write Lord of the Rings and stuff, and then kind of made the whole thing about architects and gardeners in like one of his letters or something.
I'm going to get through the Lord of the Rings series this year. I've never seen any of them or read
Oh,
any of it.
oh wow! I think you might be the first black metal musician I've ever met that's had no Tolkien influence whatsoever.
Yeah,
To be fair, it's a very
there are
respectful.
not many of
Yeah.
us.
Oh no, there's like 0 degrees of shame there whatsoever. I was more impressed than anything else that you've managed to avoid.
I don't care. I'm like, I don't, I grew up listening to like my dad's CD collection and not watching a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of like, you know, movies that I should have seen that I've never seen.
I'm like that, but I did a film degree and I've never watched The Godfather, never watched Citizen
Oh,
Kane.
I just watched that, all three of them last year.
Yeah,
Loved them.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes as well when it's like you probably feel like this, like if there's a cultural thing of like you have to, everyone's like you have to see this, you have to do this. You're like, I haven't
It's
watched.
almost a turn off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, 100%. Like I haven't watched Citizen Kane for that reason. The greatest film ever made, as everyone calls it. And I still haven't finished 2001: A Space Odyssey, even though Kubrick is one of my favorite directors. But I feel like I'd need to actually see it in a cinema and be like a captive audience to get through it because it's such a slow burn.
Totally.
I watched it on a shitty download on my laptop years ago, so I've only watched it on a tiny screen.
Yeah, like I always get to like the bit where like Hal's like malfunctioning and being weird, and I'm just like, oh, I'm too tired.
It is very long. Uh,
Isn't
yeah,
that one like 3 hours?
Yeah, it's
it is a
excruciatingly long.
very long
Although,
film.
like, well, all of my favorite films seem to be like 3 hours long, like Seven Samurai, like Lord of the Rings,
Never seen
obviously.
Seven Samurai.
I
So,
guess I have a question for both of you then. Um, how would you recommend approaching Lord of the Rings? It seems like everyone has a different idea of. I was told to start with the animated Hobbit series
oh, okay, that's an.
I'd say go hardcore.
by a friend of mine who's like a big fan. He was like, "This is how you got to do it." I'm like,
I'd say
"Okay, I
start a
don't."
day
I mean, I think
and
that's
like
like not. I think that's like nostalgic, and I get it, but like, it's kind of like a product of its time. There is like I think it was made in 79 or 80. There is the trippiest, most nightmare fueled adaptation of the Lord of the Rings that's animated. Like that is if
I
you
wonder if that's what he's talking about.
oh yeah, like the Hobbit one is just like really cutesy and kind of stuff like that. But like I honestly I just maybe read the book because like the,
Yeah, that would probably be best.
like I don't know, like my introduction to it was my dad reading me The Hobbit at like the age of 5. So like and The Hobbit's like a pretty easy read. It's only like 150 to 200 pages long. So I mean and it's like he wrote it for like his like for his children and to like read it like to like each chapter was like a different bedtime story and it's very episodic and things like that. So it's like a cool way of dipping your toe in the water, but it's definitely not on the same scale as the Lord of the Rings being this huge epic thing. It's more of a fairy tale than that.
My thing is,
So do you not think there's like any necessary storyline to pick up from it? Like
Oh,
before starting, like the big, you know,
um,
trifecta.
I think that he's really good at weaving the narrative in that, and like especially if you're like that dedicated, there's like 4 essays at the start of the Lord of the Rings before
Jesus.
the story even begins. There's like one about like hobbits, their cultures and customs, one about Bilbo finding the ring, and
That would be so real. I just want like the abridged version. I'll do a deep dive later if it's like something I'm super into, but
you can skip over that stuff. I mean, like
I'll
literally,
probably
like
just watch them in order. I don't know.
I mean, like
The
the old
extended ones are like 5 hours or something.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
oh, like
Watch
each.
all 3 films, extended editions in one go. That's what I did years ago. I hadn't seen them until I was like 18, and I was like, they're on TV, and I'm big marathon on Sky Movies. I'm gonna watch them all day.
Well, like last year, we went to the cinema and watched the Lord of the Rings extended editions in the cinema in one day, and it took us 13 hours.
Yeah,
Um,
I had to put earplugs in at one.
No.
It was too loud because I'm like, I'm one of those old people now that's always like, you need to protect your hearing. You need to use the earplugs.
okay, Grandma.
But no,
What?
I do feel like that. Especially at gigs and you see like people that are like dead young and they've not got earplugs and you're like, when I was your age, I thought it was cool to not wear earplugs. And then I saw Salsifia and I nearly got tinnitus.
Any
I got like 9.5 itis.
9.5 itis.
tinnitus?
Bad joke, sorry.
I got it.
Good joke.
Do you get it now?
No.
Tinnitus?
Huh?
9.5. It's okay.
It
10 is
kind of works when you like
10.
Yeah.
It's us 9.5 itis.
Oh. Oh.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm very slow. I haven't been to work this morning.
This is probably my worst material. You know, I
I'm
said that
oh,
one,
no.
and a friend of mine made it into a whole song one time. There's a
Hmm.
rap song out there about 9.5 itis.
Now I want to hear that.
I think
I'll
that should be
send it to you.
that should
It's a track by Old Grape God from Portland, Oregon.
I was gonna say potentially like would make a cool like hidden track on your next release or something.
Just goes
It's
silent.
just like harsh noise, power electronics. Like,
Well, you do like harsh noise and then fade in with like a load of feedback so it sounds like tinnitus.
Yeah. It's like, why is this track
and then
forcing?
the riff comes in. Here, come with me to get coffee.
And have the riff
I'm going on
really,
an adventure.
have the riff really quiet and the loudness really loud. So you have to really listen to get it. But yeah. So
That sounds like Urine of Abomination by Trimvir Fowl. It's a very noisy death metal album, and I like how they incorporated harsh noise into it.
I feel
I've
like you'd
not heard
expect
it.
harsh noise from a band called Urine Abomination. Is this an abomination that's a physical urine? Is it an abomination? Abomination? Or
It's the urine of the abomination.
oh, urine of the abomination? That
The
changes it.
abomination is just pissing everywhere. You'll see it on the album cover even.
As both baristas, we need to have an important question. How do you have your coffee? Since you were getting coffee.
Oh, just black coffee here.
Just like my
That
coffee,
is
how I
that
like
is
my metal.
mm.
Black.
You see, I see.
I chug this shit.
You can tell if someone likes coffee and they're not pretending when they drink black coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a horse's shot
A quarter.
skinny
We get
latte.
people being like, we want a quarter shot latte, and so they're like, it's too strong. You don't like coffee. Don't have coffee.
I'll just get a straight up espresso if I'm like at an actual coffee shop.
That is hardcore.
That is hardcore. I've served
It's
someone
nice to
with like
sip it,
5 shots of espresso in a black Americano, and that's like,
Oh, I remember.
that's intense. Speaking of black coffee, black metal. So I find the album interesting because there are bits like certain riffs that I think sound like bolt thrower riffs. And I know that you're like a big death metal fan. So do you purposely do you if you have the mind where you try and keep the black metal, but the death metal creeps in, or do you do it purposefully?
I don't try to make it black metal at all. Honestly, I was just trying to play like cool death metal riffs for most of the album, to be honest. Like, I think it sounds black metal because Lust Hag sounds black metal. Like, I do the black metal vocals. The tone kind of leads to a sort of, I don't know, you can sort of hear the melodies and nuances, and I don't stick exclusively to the death metal riffs. So,
You do get
um,
more
I
interesting
don't
though.
know. Yeah, it's just like what I like to play, I guess.
I think a lot of it, like a lot of what defines it is like tone and production because like I was reading like a really funny book, but they were talk at one point they were talking about it's like a satirical history of heavy metal, but they were talking about black metal redefining the concept of heavy, and rather than it being this deep, bassy kind of like thing, black metal managed to make an incredibly abrasive noise with using like, highs and trebles and things like that.
Hmm.
I suppose if you're bringing that, like, even though it's stylistically death metal, if it's still got that kind of production and things like that, it kind of maybe is in a gray area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked, I guess my approach to it as far as all the genres and stuff go or was that I like um all the older bands that like didn't have much to go off other than like extreme metal. Like Bathory and Celtic Frost and Sepultura's early stuff and Sarcophago and
Yeah.
where it was just like undefined. They were just playing whatever the hell they wanted. And so I like to add a lot of bass to my songs and kind
Mm.
of have a cleaner tone. So it's like really like got that type of like sub bass sound to it. And
No, that
I
makes
don't know. I
sense.
don't like to like stick to like the rules or like restrict myself to like a rule book or anything like that.
That's why I found Dagger of Magdalene so interesting because it's so like it's a journey and then like you have that really nice synth bit in the middle. And then when the dive bombs come in, as I said before, it's like, yes, dive bombs.
You
They're not
could.
even like proper dive bombs. I'm just doing like really aggressive bends. I'm not even pinch harmonicking or anything. I don't even know how to do pinch harmonics. I've tried so hard.
It's one of those things where I can do them sometimes. Like I play like the Sentinel by Judas Priest,
Oh,
and sometimes I'll add the pinch harmonics, but it's
I
not on purpose.
I've only recently refined my technique to do it, and it's all about like speed of like retracting your thumb as quickly as possible. Like after you basically
Right. Yeah.
you literally just brush against it and immediately pull it back,
It's
and
like it's like
Yeah.
almost like a flick, but you have to like really finesse it.
yeah, and it's like even though you can kind of get it as well, there's like depending on the note you're playing, there's like a sweet spot or like near the bridge, and you have to move where that sweet spot is.
Totally.
So it is something like you have to be like, oh, I'm going to play this note now and adjust where your actual thumb is before you do the pinch harmonic, and it's just
Mm.
I've tried and tried. Small brain me can't do it.
I was trying to figure out how to do
I'm
like
too
dive
like ugh.
I was trying to figure out dive bombs for years, and then like I got my Randy Rhodes, and I was like, I'm gonna learn dive bombs now, and they're so weirdly simple. Where it's just like the harmonic, and I was like, how did I not know this before? Why didn't I ever Google?
Yeah,
But
my
yeah,
new guitar that I'm getting
I
soon
did see a
should
post about that. It does look very nice.
rip some dive bombs.
Purple guitars are the best, and purple in general. Is purple your favorite color? Because you use a lot of purple. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mine too. See?
I really wanted to get my PRS in purple, but I managed to find the exact same model for like half the price and like got it for an absolute steal. So I was kind of like, "Ugh." Although
I
I don't,
think half the price, the color for me was a total bonus. Like the guitar to begin with checked all my boxes.
what
So
is
then
it?
I was like, holy shit, and it's like my favorite color of all time. That's awesome.
What guitar
What did
did
you
you?
say? Oh,
Oh,
I got a Schecter. I fucking can never remember like serial numbers or like model numbers or anything, but
I think it looks like Explorer-ish.
okay.
you know, it's got a Floyd Rose and a locking nut and all the shit I wanted for like metal stuff.
I like Floyd Roses in theory and playing them, but I don't like changing them. So,
I'm determined to learn. I've heard it's like definitely a bit of a challenge.
Yeah,
I tried doing yours and your
just
Jackson.
about yeah, like I was about to like not name names and say, well, I did have a friend once that like was like, I know how they work, that's totally fine. And then it just did not stay in tune and I had to go and like beg the
And the
guy in the
bridge was like
guitar.
this.
And I just had to beg the guy in the guitar shop to fix it.
If it comes down to it, I've got friends who can do it
That's
for
part of
me.
the fun. Like my
And I'm
grandpa's
not ashamed either. Like, I don't know shit about instruments or guitars or gear.
same.
Um,
My
and frankly,
grandpa's
I
like
don't care to learn. But
my grandpa's a really good like guitar player, and like I always used to take my guitar to him to change strings and stuff. And my friend took a Floyd Rose once, and he was like, never, never again. Screwed that way. But luckily, I've
but
not.
if I've got it, I'm gonna try to learn what I can about it. So that'll be exciting.
Schecters are lovely. I've only ever played like one in a guitar shop when I was buying a pedal and just needed to take a random guitar off the wall
Oh
to
no,
pull
no.
out.
Is this the same time that we're thinking of? We went into a really, really expensive guitar shop and acted like we were gonna buy something so we could play a nice guitar. That was that was a story.
We were on holiday.
We true it was. We were supposed to
Yeah,
be
you're allowed to then.
yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be covering a festival and it sort of fell through.
I basically guilt bought a pedal because I
You
felt
did.
bad about it.
What was the pedal?
Oh, so I really wanted a Boss HM2 pedal, like the kind of
Hmm.
Swedish death metal chainsaw guitar tone.
Right, right.
And the guy in the guitar shop just lied to me and went, "Oh yeah, this metal zone's basically the exact same thing." I was like, "Okay." I've got it home and I have not used it since because it's just
I am
appalling.
so sorry. That fucker.
But if you were 10 years younger, you'd have thought that was great. It's
Yeah.
like when everyone had like a Line 6 Spider and they'd put it onto the was it insane?
Oh,
Like,
my
yes.
my
In
first
the
ever
insane setting.
Yeah.
my first ever distortion pedal was even worse. It was the Boss death metal distortion pedal. Like, yeah,
Okay.
they didn't
I
make
don't
me.
know that one.
It honestly it makes like it makes the Metal Zone one look like leaps and bounds better because it was just a big noisy box.
I
But
just love all those memes where it's like about finding like drop D tuning for the first time, or like the Line 6 Spider, and it's like a lovely simpler time.
I am guitarist who just discovered drop D. All of the Lust Hag stuff has been in E standard.
I think I like E standard though. I think
It's fun.
it's a nice little tuning, and you can still make it heavy. Like I've been writing loads of riffs lately, but like on the A instead of like on the E, because it's like that way you can go to the E and it's heavier, but
Hmm.
and it's got a weird like new
Totally.
heavy
It's
metal
all
feel.
context.
Yeah,
yeah, like it kind of goes back to what I was saying about like different definitions of heaviness as well. Like I don't think something being like lower necessarily makes it heavier. Like I
yeah.
think there are like I definitely think that there are like ways of achieving like a harsh sound without like there are some bands that like play in like F standard and still sound like crushing, and that's like what like a semitone higher than E standard.
When you said F
Hmm.
standard, my brain went low as hell.
No, no, no.
Like,
No, no, it's just like one semitone up.
so as well, like you seem to be a big fan of a side project.
No, I think I'm done making side projects now. I like wanted a death metal one and then I wanted like to make a war metal thing and that didn't sound similar enough to the death metal one, so I had to make a third
Awesome. You just sound
or second side project, third project in total, I guess.
I'm just still laughing because you just made yourself sound like a Mighty Boosh character. Like you're a fan of the.
Oh, I don't know if it might be translated to America.
I know the one episode.
Which one?
You know the one.
Oh, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Termagant is just dumb death metal.
I am a
As
big
dumb as
fan.
I can make it.
I am a big fan of the kind of ooga booga caveman death
Mm.
metal kind of.
Yeah, exactly that. That's
You
why I made Gun Girl, is because it just felt too like smart to be a Termagant release.
just
I
that
feel like
pure raw
cavemen
metal.
wouldn't know how to use military weapons though as well. So their idea.
Or play drums as fast. Like it's more just like
Wonder if there'd be a caveman in Slipknot with the bins.
The guy who bin slaps for a living.
We used to have a
Mm,
big joke about the guy that was the bin player in Slipknot and how he left the
yeah.
because he wanted the bigger cut of royalty.
Yeah, it was the fact that he felt like, despite being a multimillionaire, that he was actually shortchanged in the band, even though he just hit a bin for a living.
Oh God, that band. When you're
Uh,
that big of a band, there's probably so much like weird behind the scenes drama.
yeah, it just kind of felt like just like a kind of circus thing more than anything. Like it was just a more
Yeah.
kind of it was just like a big silly sort of thing as opposed to I don't know. I'm gonna be one of those cool people that pretends they never liked Slipknot when they were a teenager.
He did. Don't
I
lie.
had the first album or the self-titled album. I just recently discovered there was one before that.
Or the make, feed, kill, repeat, or whatever.
Oh, so you're like, I don't like this band. I don't
I
know
said
them.
pretend. I said I will
Oh, you
pretend.
pretend. Okay.
I was just
Right.
making a joke.
Rob's a bit of a metal elitist, but even though he admitted to me he was front row at a Linkin Park show, and yeah.
I know. Dare I say, I actually high five Chester Bennington when he like came out into the crowd when I was but a wee lad of 15 years old.
Have you washed your hands?
Did you?
I hope you're happy with it.
That had to have been a formative moment.
Yeah, I mean it was fun. All fun and games.
Fun and games. What games were you playing at the front of a gig? Front of a show?
Just whips my DS out.
Classic console. Classic
How do you
console.
how do you feel about the fact that that's become a trend in the mosh pit, like playing different games, like doing weird like push-ups and like playing Magic the Gathering and
That was the one I was going to say. Magic the Gathering.
I am unaware of all.
Frozen Soul. I heard Frozen Soul throw his cards out into the audience, like to have them play Magic in the crowd.
I mean that's
Now I want to go see Frozen Soul.
I mean that's kind of
That's great.
I mean it kind of like I don't know. I feel like I need to one up it somehow.
How?
Um I do own a lot of armor and weapons.
You do own a lot of armor and weapons.
It's
Now joust.
that was literally what I was thinking. I was thinking perhaps you could get like find like two of the biggest, burliest cave troll looking sort of metalheads. They could be like the mounts for the evening. And then like get on their shoulders. And then like
Get a couple twinks.
yeah,
Put them right on.
like have the twinks like saddle up the bears, and then they could just sort of like batter each other with pool noodles. One of them falls off or something.
This is a very good idea, but imagine trying to get that past the security guards at a gig, especially if it was a big show. Do you imagine that?
Oh yeah, you're getting canceled.
You are.
Um,
They'll run in with a high vis, grab you, take you out the venue,
feel
and then
like
go back to standing at the front pretending they don't like the band, even if they turn around like. I've seen that several shows.
oh sorry, I'm just weird visuals of like that.
Well, getting taken out by security.
No, of the sort of twink jousting.
I've got a pretty like
Yeah.
spot on visual in my head right now. I can see it all.
The whole Magic the Gathering in a pit thing, I think is at least more respectable than
No, I've got
crap killing.
no, I've got it. Yes, I agree. I've got it. It would require so much time and setup, and probably if Bolt Thrower are ever reunited, that they should do it in a Bolt Throw pit, but a game of Warhammer 40K, like with all
Hmm.
the miniatures, terrain, everything set up in the middle of a pit, like you clear it like a wall of death.
Are they going to have a ring around it of like fencing? Because if someone gets thrown into that, the game's scuppered.
But then well, I mean, like I think that's the thing. Like eventually, it'll just all get like consumed during like a drop in the song or something like that, and you'll just hear somebody be like, "No, my army."
My figurines.
Yeah.
My war
Oh
dolly.
no.
So I suppose an interesting question here though would
Someone I
be,
know, someone I know who plays Warhammer literally refers to them as his war dollies, and it's the cutest thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
but so hypothetically, if you were ever to make the Lust Hag stage show, what games would you have the crowd play in the pit?
I'm a big fan of Connect 4.
I
I don't
think
know. I have no idea what
so.
game you had.
I mean, like I've thought that you can make it more elaborate. You could almost like you could give out different colored merch as free gifts to fans that are willing to participate, and then two people can play and kind of be like, I'll put a guy in a red shirt there, guy in a yellow shirt there, and you kind of play it with members of the audience. Like
Oh,
they're the
that would be cool.
How do they win? How do they win the
by
game?
connecting four.
Have you ever played it?
No, I played it. I mean in the context of a pit.
Doesn't they beat
We
and
would have to set up some sort of like floor mat,
yeah, like a
like a
grid
game
or
of
something.
Twister, but it would be like the grid.
Yeah, I think it's doable.
Yeah.
That'd take a lot of you know, cooperation on the crowd's end.
Yeah, it would need some forethought and
Yeah. But then the more
It would
out,
also be really difficult to get like a live thing going for Lust Tag.
how come?
It's hard to find band members out here. And then it feels weird asking like people to join like my band and learn my songs and
yeah.
I don't know. And I don't really like have the desire to.
Yeah. Do you find it hard to find drummers? Because that's our
Mm,
biggest
yeah.
downfall. It's like
And
every
bassists are pretty hard to find, but like I would just probably do bass if we did it live, as I
I
don't
feel
know if I
like
could sing and play the guitar parts all right.
yeah. I feel like most guitarists, though most bassists in bands are also guitarists. Like I've been made to play bass as well. So
Like
The
I
indignity.
already play bass in another band, and when I'm writing guitar parts, I like try really hard to make it something that's challenging for me to play because that's like kind of what keeps it interesting. So like it wouldn't be easy. My riffs might be easy for, whatever other guitarist, but I don't know if I could do it myself.
I don't think like I think complexity of guitarists like parts sometimes is like a bit strange because to me like some of the best riffs are so simple. Like
Mhm.
you don't need to be super technical. Like
Yeah.
it's like I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah, the ones that get stuck in my head are always like more groove based than like technical.
yeah, like it's generally like shorter musical praises tend to like look at everything from like famous film scores to things like that. It's always just like a phrase of like about 5 notes or something like that. That's the bit that you'll walk out of the cinema or something like humming.
I mean,
Yeah,
the Jaws theme is a perfect example
Yeah,
of
like,
that.
yeah,
Literally 2 notes, yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
But I think with metal, like, because the Jaws theme is really rhythmic, I think like if you can really translate like a good like rhythmic element throughout your phrases, that can like really resonate with people.
Are we saying that John Williams invented gent?
Yeah, that was exactly the point that I was leading up to.
Wow,
Oh, yeah.
what an interesting revelation. But yeah, the simple riffs, like, because I'm a big Gatecreeper fan, and like he talks about like GED riffs,
Yeah.
and like I've listened to their new album, and like some of the riffs on that, like that Black Curtain song, there's like one riff, and then it's just like a small variation of it that goes through the whole song, but it's so catchy. Like, I don't know. It's kind of, I think it's genius to make like simple riffs that are really catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Because
had some people tell me like that because my riffs are like pretty simple generally for the most part. And a couple people have made comments like these are like not reinventing the wheel, but they're the riffs I wish I had written myself. And like that's a huge honor to hear that from someone. Like that's really special.
yeah, no, like for sure. Like I think like people.
Like, yeah, I can be satisfied with my music at that point. Like, I don't know.
Very nice compliment.
Yeah, and like you can throw everything in the kitchen sink and try and make guitar parts as like wanky as possible, but like it's a lot of the time it's unnecessary and it's just sort of at that point it's more athleticism than musicianship.
Mm.
It's yeah.
Yeah, so as well, like I think there's like quite like a strong like visual element to the Lust Hag stuff. Like, and I know you do a lot of like the visual stuff as well, didn't you? Like design the logo and stuff, and like
Hmm. Yeah, I brought um a cassette for show and tell. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
yes,
Um, so I did like the cover myself, and then the part that I didn't do is this purple artwork.
Oh, that's
That
cool.
was done by a friend. She lives in town here. And then there's also this like this graveyard photo that I edited, but I didn't take the photo. It's like a really old cemetery in Massachusetts. And yeah, the tape comes with like the lyrics. I wasn't able to fit them in the CD, so the tape and the record will come with a lyric sheet.
That's like really fun, like
But
kind of making the most of the space, such a small sort of like space
yeah.
and format.
yeah, it was really fun to make a like a fold out J card.
That's so cool.
And then I did not plan this, but I don't know if you can see it. You can like see me peeking through the little window there. I don't
Oh,
think
it's
it's
very
going to show
cool.
up on the camera. But yeah, the little artist photo was like, I didn't even mean to do that, but it was placed so perfectly.
That just makes me think of like Zeppelin 3. You know, you can like move the wheel on the
Oh
vinyl and
yeah.
their faces will all change. But yeah. Did you design like it like for the J card and like the vinyl? 'Cause obviously I haven't got my copy of the vinyl yet. Like, are they the same, or how am I going to phrase this? It's obviously the same content, but did you like make two separate ones, or did you have it so that it would work for both? I don't know if that made sense.
I had to do a separate like file for each template. Um, so I mean, it was pretty easy, kind of just drag and drop. But the vinyl will be different than the CD because it'll say like side A and side B instead of just the full track list. And then the insert will have like um, these images and stuff, but then the lyrics will be over the graveyard picture.
Some
But yeah, I did have to go in and do all of it like separately. I wish it was just universal and whatnot. Like editing the border on the cassette to fit that like rectangular shape was kind of annoying.
It's kind of one of the cool things about like physical media making such like a big comeback in music now, because it is like an absolute like art form of how to present the album and stuff like that. And like, it's something you can really have a lot of fun with. And it's, I don't know,
Hmm.
whenever something arrives and there's like, multiple layers and maybe even like the inside sleeves that you put the record in and then slide them back inside the gatefold have got like artwork on them, and I always appreciate when like those little details like that have been taken.
There's even little like Easter eggs on the like various releases. Like if you read the barcode, I was able to custom input what numbers I wanted it to be. So it scans up on like into a point of sale system as 420 666 696969.
That is the best.
I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, each one is a different number, and I just picked like funny numbers. Like the tape, you can't see the actual numbers, but if you ring it up, it says boobies. You know, like
That is the best thing I've heard all day. That
I
is.
definitely have like as much fun as I can with it.
I love it.
Just make me think if we ever released anything, we would need to have the silliest of barcodes.
Well, you could have like 1312 in there, ACAB.
Hmm.
And then you can kind of yeah, you could kind of like have fun doing like the kind of like, little alphabet codes like that, like 161, like Anti-Fascist Alliance, just kind of have some fun with it.
Hmm.
Totally. Because I
So
looked up random UPC generator, and then it had like the option to type in numbers, and I was like, oh, I can just bypass the random generator and like generate my own. Let's do it. That was awesome. Great discovery.
so do you do like other visual art, or is it just do you just do like the designs for like your own work?
I'll do logos for people sometimes, but I'm like notoriously bad at following up and like actually doing stuff.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's easy when it's for my own album and like I need this to put the album out. Like, well, I'll get it done. But if someone else hires me to do a logo, sometimes it's like I'm dragging my feet through the mud. I can't do it.
No, I get that. Needing like that kind of like deadline of no, this is the release date for my album. It kind of like forces you to focus and
Yeah, maybe it's selfish, but it's just how it is.
I think it's just how like I don't know. Like I'm like that like with my uni stuff. Like I was like I really am interested in this. I really care about it, but it takes up until like the week before for my brain to kick in, and then I just hyper focus on everything for a week. And I'm like, oh my God, I did this to a high standard. And then it's like, I'm never doing that again because it's too stressful. Until the next time. It's
I
like,
just, I
I,
don't know, making the artwork for an album feels like the final step. Like it's like, I don't know, making the artwork for someone else's album is like not
yeah, you're not as like,
as natural of a process, you know? It's like I made all the songs, now I make the art. That's just the last step of doing it.
yeah, it makes sense because you're more involved with the process and
yeah.
yeah.
One thing I wanted to speak about as well was GarageBand supremacy. Because I remember I said to you, like, I recognize that guitar tone from somewhere. It's GarageBand.
No, I was just kidding. Yeah, it's brown tone metal.
Yes. I feel like brown tone metal, like discovering that was like being a kid discovering the insane setting on the Line 6.
Yeah,
It is. Yeah,
I mean, like I just use GarageBand because poverty more than anything.
because
Poverty,
it's
but you have a
awesome.
MacBook.
Hmm?
I said poverty, but you have a MacBook.
Yes,
Paid for with student loans.
exactly.
But yeah, I think GarageBand is like the best DAW that's like easy or door that's easy to access. Like
And like Reaper's free.
Mhm.
I always found those. I don't know what it is about GarageBand. It just seems really like
Like
user
it is
friendly.
user friendly. I'm just a really dumb user.
I mean, like the best one is whatever one works best for you. So
Hmm.
True.
I don't know. When people like shit on other DAWs for whatever reason, it's like, I don't know. I always take a step back and think like, well, they're more concerned about their program than they are about their music then it seems like. And I just always choose to stay in my lane and keep doing whatever I'm doing because it works for me.
I feel like that's
That
a good
whole
thing to
argument
have.
is so tired. It's like I don't know. Oh, you got to get Ableton. Oh, you got to get Logic. Well, I got my music on a vinyl, making shit in GarageBand, and I love to do it. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
I mean, I live with a sound engineer, so whatever decisions I make, just I'll be relentlessly bullied for anyway. So-
But then he let us use his laptop to try and record on. We didn't know how to use it, so we went back to GarageBand.
Oh, lovely person. He's just an absolute audio snob. Like,
But
I
again,
get that. I got friends like that.
I don't know but GarageBand's like, I don't know. I've written so many little things on GarageBand that I've never done anything else. I've got a nice little attachment to it.
yeah, and we've got that one half of a demo for the band floating around on my laptop. So
I have like loads of like just things I've started years ago and then just forget about. Yeah. I
So
think
you
it's
two have a band?
we try.
we try, yeah. It's sort of it's just me, Olivia, and a drummer that we sort of
We find it hard to practice because he wants to do writing sessions and we both work in the same job, so we can't always have the same day off. We always have evenings off, so we can go to like rented space and play, and then write stuff there. But he doesn't want to, so we can't.
well, remember the last band practice where like organically like Liv came up with like a really cool like lead part over one of the riffs that I wrote and all of these things developed naturally. Can we not just keep doing this, get better as a band and let the song grow and mutate and
Hmm.
Mm,
I tried
that's
writing.
how my band writes usually.
Yeah.
Like when
I-
I'm writing songs with the actual band, we just like, oh, I've got this riff. You want to play it? Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I think I'll do this on the drums. Oh
yeah,
yeah, that sounds good.
Which do you
Pretty
prefer
soon
then?
you got a whole
Uh,
song.
Do you
yeah.
prefer like jamming something out or like like trying to play something on your own and then that leads to a song and you sort of crafted your own vision? Or are they
No,
just
you just gotta jam for sure.
I think you
Start
can
with a riff. I mean, you can like sit and like piece it together, but like while you're jamming, I don't see
yeah.
any benefit to like sitting down and like blocking out your songs beforehand,
yeah.
unless that's like, how it works for you. It's just not something that would work well for me.
And I like because that's kind of like the ongoing argument that we've been having because I feel like if I've came to the rehearsal room with like three or four riffs, we can then be like, okay, riff one for so many measures, then that riff and this riff and
And
kind
then
of
you refine it as you go.
Yeah, it
yeah,
helps to have a whiteboard or like someone take notes in a notes app or something, but like that's exactly how I would do it. You come to practice, maybe you have a riff or two, maybe you jam until a riff sounds cool and you're like, damn, this is like the
that's
one
kind
we should base the song around. And then you just build the song around that.
yeah,
Yeah. Because I find it weird 'cause like I know you've written some stuff on your own and I've like got a full like whole song that I've written and then I'm like get to the point where I'm like, I don't know what time signature this is in. I get bored. Whereas then we go to like a band practice and then it's like we all figure it out. It becomes organic and you do it like that.
yeah,
It's just so
exactly.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never change the time signature when I'm recording. I just count along like with whatever time signature I want to do. But it'll
Yeah.
always just be set to 4/4. But if I want it to be a 5/4 measure, I'll just count 5 beats.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with like a with a just a standard metronome that it's just how you choose to count to interpret it, and that's all time signatures really are, just feel as opposed
Right.
because like you can have something in like you know like 6/4 or 12/8, and they're like at least when you're looking at it mathematically they're identical but have a different feel to them.
Right. Right.
I think it depends on genre as well. Like the thing I've been trying to write is like straight up like black and roll sort of stuff.
Hmm.
And I've got like an interesting concept for it. But then when we're writing together, we do like the atmospheric black metal. And I feel like that's way more like fluid to try and write in like a band setting. Because like
Mm.
you can get lost in it and then it's like
Yeah, like especially when you have like a really hypnotic kind of like bit like But yeah, like my struggle is like actually making transitions in songs and things like that. Like it's kind of like yeah. But I think if we can just
That's just the atmospheric black metal trap. You find one riff, you put on a nice little atmospheric black metal song. You're like, why? I've been listening to this riff for 90 years.
yeah. Anyway, it's not we are here to talk about Lust Hag
We
and not
are.
Haraith. So
That's true. But yeah, so another thing is, which I think I asked you about, and I can't remember if I did. I probably did, as usual, which you know from last time. We always ask people to pick songs. So like, are there like 5 songs which have inspired the record, or that
Oh
you
God, okay,
like now?
I've totally forgot to do this. Let's see if I can think of something. Um,
You can take a minute.
like Procreation of the Wicked is a constant influence. That is like one of the riffs of all time. Uh, I'm like obsessed with the Kill Chain. I think I just like all of
Yeah,
these bands' favorite or like most popular songs, but the Kill Chain is like a perfect song.
it is. It really is.
yeah, it's in my head right now.
I've got like a that album like in a limited like 300 like press and run like in like the color of like the you know what I
Artwork.
mean? Yeah, the color of the artwork, like the sand marble thing. I've not opened it. I've not looked at it. It says like whatever of 300, and I'm like, no, it goes away.
They're not as rare
You
as
haven't opened it?
No, I don't want to open
they're
it.
not as rare as they
I know
sound.
they're not as rare as it
Because
sounds.
they'll say limited to 300, but then they've done God knows how many in all sorts of other colors, and it's
Yes, but the sand color goes with the album artwork.
I think
Yeah,
that
the Volt
should be
Thrower stuff,
played.
people crank up the cost on Discogs once stuff sells out.
I think records should be played personally. Like I've got a
Yeah.
first
I do
pressing of
too.
yeah, like I've got like a first pressing of Under a Funeral Moon by Dark Throne, and like like yes, I know I could sell it for a lot of money, and yes, I know probably if I kept it in pristine condition and never played it, but no, want to I want to get home and have my little ritual where I flip the record
Hmm.
over and yeah.
That record was put out to be listened to
Yeah,
and
enough.
not like hoarded away.
No, like 100%. And I think it might be like younger. Yes, I'm about to describe myself as a younger person, but
You
in
are young.
um
How old are you guys?
I'm
I
29.
and I have just turned 28.
I'm 27.
Oh, so yeah. But so like people kind of like of see, I am the grandpa of the group.
You're not that old though. And I keep thinking, I look forward to being 30.
I'm looking forward to
You
turning
do?
I'm looking forward to turning 30 because I'm going to Norway on my 30th, but
Ooh.
yeah, I'm doing the whole black metal virgin pilgrimage thing.
Yeah, go check out the museum.
Yeah. Um uh sorry, I completely lost my train of thought, but
Just
like
thinking
yeah.
of how
Oh,
badly.
yeah, like so like I think like people our age tend to because obviously vinyl was like an antiquated thing by the time we started collecting and things like that. We tend to treat it with way more reverence than say our parents' generation did, where it was just that's how you consumed music.
Well, yeah, that and like CDs and tapes were more common and no one gave a shit about records by a certain point. They were like $5 for a brand new record. So the fact that it's like, back in full force, everyone's buying vinyl more than anything, and they're like $30 to $40 standard, oops, across the board pretty much.
Yeah. But I was
It
like,
kind of gives you this different attitude to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I went and I spent more, like this is the most valuable format right now. And so then I think that's like
my complaints were like,
it was trash back then. Like when they were like $5, it's like I want the cassette, but I have to get the record because I can't afford the tape or whatever.
Yeah, and I kind of wish those days would come back, but I think it's because like the there's such a market for it now that it's like you're seeing reissues of like albums like from like the 80s, like even just like generic kind of pop albums that you're seeing now like going for like £40 and like the
Right, right.
mass produced reissues and it's
that's
like
my thing.
how
Like
can
on
you
my
justify
birthday,
that?
we went like looking like around like one of the record
Yeah.
shops in Chester, and it's like some of them are in deals, so it's like 3 for 55, but it's not worth it. And then it's like they're selling like Ray of Light by Madonna for £45, and it's like they've made that many of that album, which is an absolute slapping album. It is the best Madonna album. It is. It is goth Madonna, Frozen, amazing
Yeah,
song.
goth. What are you talking about? That is
No,
a
no.
straight up trip hop album.
No, but the aesthetic of it now, like if you watch the video for Frozen, but
Mm.
I
No,
love that
you
album.
made me watch it like Clockwork Orange style, kind of.
Yeah,
I peeled the lids of my eyes back and made me watch it.
That's not true. That's not true.
It was a
and then they go into the streets and beat some women afterwards. I hate that movie.
Yeah.
I dislike the movie because it generally also misses the point of the book as well.
I never read the
Um,
book. I didn't even know it was a book.
yeah, but the worst bit is it's written in their weird little language, like the Nadsak.
Oh,
So it's so
Knapsack.
difficult. That's what it's called, yeah. And it's
I know it's like the point of it is like, I don't know, to be dystopian and whatever. It's a little rough for me to watch that one.
but the whole thing as well, like, is like the the sorry, the copy of the book that Kubrick had access to had the last chapter removed, like the actual chapter where like it's like the protagonist reflecting on his life and all of the horrible things that he's done and actually being filled with regret for that. And that,
Right, right,
whereas if you're missing that, it does become as it did with the film, like a celebration of all those like things that he did.
Yeah.
And
right, totally.
it's like
It's like this ultra violence obsessed thing.
yeah, it's like the context completely lost in the film and stuff like that, and it's kind of a bit yeah.
It was like a really visually appealing film, that's for sure. I love the whole 70s like decor aesthetic and um yeah, overall it was like that was an interesting one. I don't mean to trail off on a different subject, sorry.
No, it's fine. Like this has been
This is the Hornthrowers tandem. It generally does go off on a tandem.
you mean
Yeah,
tangent?
I'm
Tangent.
like
Tangents.
ADHD, so
Yeah.
I can't stay on one topic.
I highly suspect I have ADHD.
Um, but yeah, so we had I can't remember the first one, but then we went on to Bolt Thrower. What is your third pick?
Oh, I was picking songs. Fuck. Um, Barracuda by Heart
Yes.
will always be in my picks. That riff is epic.
Yeah, I
That
think
is
you
like,
chose it last time, but we'll play it
yeah, I'm
again.
gonna choose it again. I don't give a shit. That is like the ultimate influence. Anytime I've ever done like a dun 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 dun, dun, that's like I'm always thinking about Heart
Sorry, it's in my head now.
We're gonna go to a full rendition now.
and like Magic Man. Oh my God. Um, I don't know. Let's go look in the queue.
I don't know if this is a British thing
Oh
of me,
wow,
but I
like
imagined you were gonna like
it's a
pan.
physical cue.
Yeah, but it's but my British brain. I was gonna pan to an actual load of people queuing in a queue. Because the British are really good at queuing. So
Oh yeah,
I
there's
don't
like
think they
a bunch
are.
of people just standing in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've each
Let's
got
go ask all of
a
them.
question. Sounds it's like a game
Jesus
show.
Christ.
Oh.
Okay, so how do I turn my camera around? My desk is a mess. Um, this one has been getting a lot of spin. I think my favorite track is the second one. I don't know. I'll send you all of these at the end of this, but these have been the albums that are like getting the
Oh,
most
a
spin
magic
right
system.
now. This is like I've got this on tape, so I've been listening to the tape. The CD is still sealed.
What was the previous album? Like the bluish one, like oh no, sorry, the one that's like on the like that's really cool. Like whatever it is,
That's
like the
Witch
Oh, wait,
Vomit.
Vomit.
Mm.
Witch
We
Vomit
saw
from
them.
Portland.
We saw them recently supporting Card Decapitation.
Did we?
Yeah. And I didn't really enjoy their set. But I
Oh,
don't
they're
know
the very
why.
first band, weren't they?
Yeah. I feel like it's sometimes
Oh, this I took a lot of influence from the side project of Love from Fia. Uh, That's a great album, and that kind of inspired some of the more black metal-y aggressive parts.
I didn't know that was the same people. That's you learn something new every day.
Obviously always listening to
Oh,
Gravesend.
Graveland.
And then this.
I do not know what that was.
That's Hemorrhoid. They're from Portland. I think they share members with Witch Vomit. And then also, have you heard of Head Split Records?
No.
So I think the person who runs Head Split is also in that band Hemorrhoid.
I feel like Hemorrhoid has set him off.
Sorry.
I like how in the artwork, the band Hemorrhoid, the guy or whoever it is on the front of that
Wait,
cover,
shit,
they
sorry.
call it Hemorrhoid. So
That guy is the Hemorrhoid.
it is the Hemorrhoid.
That's
This
if you
one goes-
zoom in on a hemorrhoid, that's what you
Yeah,
get. You get
I was
this
gonna
like,
say, he goes to the doctors and they're like, every time I have hemorrhoids, they zoom in on the microscope. Yeah, he's there. The sentient hemorrhoid. I'm like, oh, we've seen Basket Case, the film. There's a
No.
guy, it's like a really like schlocky sort of horror film. And like a guy's got like a conjoined twin brother that's been removed. And it looks like a hemorrhoid. It looks like that basically. And it lives in a basket.
Saying hemorrhoid, please.
We need to play the hemorrhoid song on the radio this week.
All right, but you're introducing it.
I'll introduce it. I'll voice the radio this week and I'll go.
You should do track 2, the one right after the intro.
What's the track 2 called?
I don't know, it's just track 2.
I think
I don't
we have like
I
a
don't know
bunch-
song names. I'll never know song names, but
I
I'll
never
always know
either.
what number they are on the album.
My thing
I
is,
think
it's
we
like
should have a double feature. We should have hemorrhoid followed by cream. It's all master of dad jokes.
that is.
I would
You know,
agree,
your
but
father-
also fuck Eric Clapton.
Yeah,
Yes,
racist piece
yeah.
of shit. But
Yeah.
like
Be
no
racist.
hesitation.
Be racist, but make a whole career out of blues music.
That generally tends to be the way.
But-
You can still be racist and steal
Many
from
such
people.
cases.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah. My previous thing that you mentioned there though about song titles, I feel like that. Like I would fail every poser test if literally people are like, name 3 songs. I'm like, I can sing you the songs. I can.
Yeah, my favorites are track 2, track 6, and track 7.
Or just like
That's my response always.
I can't actually name that song.
Go on.
That was my rendition of World Eater by Bolt Thrower.
That was good.
Oh, thanks.
That's the riff.
Yeah.
I like Bolt Thrower as well. I think they're really fun to listen to because you can notice a lot of the time, like, I'm listening to this song. Oh no, it's not this song I'm thinking of. It's a different song. A lot of their riffs are just like the same vibe. They're like so similar that you're like, hang on, you used that riff here. It doesn't matter.
They get a pass.
So
If
good.
They're
they're
allowed.
plagiarizing themselves, it doesn't count.
I know.
Yeah, they're allowed to.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, spreading the word about hemorrhoids. Nice
The
little,
gospel of hemorrhoid.
PSA, public service announcement about hemorrhoids.
At least now we know how you find them. You've got to zoom in and see that exact character. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that band so much. I bought the t-shirt. It's got that guy on the shirt. I pretty much tend to like everything on Head Split Records.
I'll have to check them out. Is it like death metal or grindcore or
Yeah,
yeah?
pretty
I
much
assume
like
so.
that.
I
Those
assume
are
so.
that's like pretty much the bases that that record label covers. Like grindy death metal, grindcore,
I feel like
death
you could have
grind.
like a symphonic metal band called Hemorrhoid. I feel like, or maybe that's how they're hitting the notes. They're in that much excruciating pain from their hemorrhoids. They can just belt out these.
They're like a candle mass cover band.
Yes.
And whenever they hit the falsetto, it's because they got a particularly itchy moment.
It's handle ass.
Yes, handle ass.
Oh,
So yeah,
good
so
God.
if you have got this far into the descent of madness, then
You have worshipped at the altars of madness.
yes. Um,
Behind the realms of madness by sacrilege.
right. I never got into sacrilege
Oh,
until
you
re
should, like right now.
until recently, and I got so confused because I use Apple Music because I think it's a superior sound quality, which I only found out from buying stuff on Bandcamp when I was like, why does this sound great on the Bandcamp thing, but crap on Spotify?
Yeah,
Spotify is crap.
the audio quality on Spotify sounds like hemorrhoids.
So anyway,
You
when it
can change it on Spotify. I don't use Spotify, but I know you can turn normalization off, which will make songs sound way better.
Oh right, do they like compress it and stuff like that and get rid of like a lot of the dynamics or something? Or
Yeah, so if you have a Spotify account, it's automatically set to normalization being on, and you have to manually turn it off.
you can do it right now. But yeah, the Apple Music thing for like Sacrilege talks about like 3 separate bands. It's really weird. They talk about being from like Gothenburg and then like Cornwall. I'm
There
like,
are a few sacrileges.
hmm.
There's a few different bands.
It was really weird. I had to go through Metal Archives to figure out which one was which from Apple Music and which album I was listening to of which band. It was like homework, and I just wanted to listen to some cool riffs. But
Yeah, where are they from? Like Coventry or something?
yeah, which is like Midlands, isn't it?
yeah, it's right next
I
to
Yeah.
know
it.
that's where Bolt Thrower is from, and I know like Bolt Thrower was formed because Carl ended up being so impressed by Sacrilege's live performance. So then I assume they all must have been around the same area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what he said when we had him on, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we interviewed him like this time last year, I think,
Yeah.
was it?
Um, yeah, and then he was right. That's actually how we got into Sacrilege. He recommended them along with like Axe Grinder and a few other bands from that kind of era. Because
Mm.
it's kind of typical of like kind of like a guy of his age, I suppose. It was like he's like, "What I listen to new
Oh
music."
yeah, I was like, because there's like a whole load of
Wait,
like,
who was this, Carl?
Yeah, from Bolt
yeah,
Thrower.
Cool.
we had like, there's like a whole load of like UK death metal, like it's traditional death metal, and I was like, oh, what do you think? And he's like, oh, I don't care. I was like, oh, thought you would.
Because you were like geared up to mention like Celestial Sanctuary and bands that have literally taken the
Yeah,
name
like
from like
Iron
their
Tomb and
songs.
stuff like that, and all these like UK death metal bands, and he just didn't care, and I was like, oh,
He was just like,
That
oh,
checks out. I don't know. I try
I
to
respect it.
listen to new stuff because it's like my job at the record shop to
Yeah.
be aware of what's coming out and to like be able to have that in stock for people. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just like listening to the same 5 or 6 old school bands more than anything.
That's the kind of the thing as I'm getting like older, like I'm and having a radio show and all these other things. It's a good way of keeping on top of like new releases, but it's like I'm very conscious of not wanting to get to a point where I'm not exposing myself to new music on like regularly.
Hmm.
Like
mm,
because you can just fall into that sort of like little nostalgic bubble where you just listen to the same sort of 5 albums that were formative for you and then never kind of explore anymore.
It's a slippery slope for sure.
yeah. I think it makes them more fun though. Like when you forget about them for a bit, and then you go back to them and you realize how great they were.
I no, no, like I don't think that there's anything wrong with like having like favorites and that you come back to, but it's the same as like it's like Henry Rollins has that whole thing, doesn't he, about like in the week he has protein listening, then he has like carb listening, and it's like a diet where he'll listen to all like his like classic punk stuff like on the weekends is like his treat for the weekend, but then like force himself to listen to new music 5 days a week. So there's nothing wrong with nostalgia, but like it's I guess I don't want to get to a point where all I'm doing is listening to things for nostalgic reasons.
It's like it's kind of rare though that like a newer album will like infiltrate the circle of stuff that I'm listening to constantly. Like that Hemorrhoid album is like one of the first I keep bringing it back up. It's one of the first records I had heard in quite a while that like I'm spinning constantly. I'm listening to it like almost every day. It doesn't get old. Um, and there's those type of albums are pretty few and far between. Oftentimes I'll just listen to something and be like, oh, okay, well, I've heard that. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's also like to do with like neuroplasticity and things like that, like because it's like as we age, our ability to be receptive to new art, new skills, like so many things, like that like dwindles as you age and
Mm.
things like that, which is again is quite a terrifying prospect. Sorry, this is really depressing.
I'm the opposite.
Midlife crisis.
It feels like it, yeah.
It was like a crisis, life crisis.
Oh,
I'm the
I've got a
opposite.
visitor.
I like. Oh, cute.
Kitty.
My partner keeps trying to abduct a cat, which like keeps
Oh my
walking
God, the
past the
cat looks like
house.
ABBA. The cat looks like ABBA.
Like constantly listen to new music, but I get stuck in the same albums and just listen to them over and over again. Like I've been listening to the new Knocked Loose album several times a day for the past few days. You don't like Knocked Loose. I didn't like Knocked Loose, and then I listened to the album because
Yeah,
people.
I'm not a huge fan. I've heard it though. Had to. It's my job.
I don't know. I think sometimes it's got like that ape quality to it that I think sometimes works really
I
well
mean,
for
I
me as
think
well.
I saw like a tweet that kind of summed them up, my thoughts up about them, that they knocked loose are Taylor Swift for gym bros.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, they're a perfectly fine band. They're just not my flavor.
But on another note, was it 1989 Taylor Swift album is a good album.
Not
I've
this.
heard that.
I like it.
Good. Well, we've
That's
got
Eugene.
oh
That's an amazing name for a cat.
Thank you.
oh well yeah, we went through the picks. Yeah, do you want to sign off and
Yeah, we can plug away your wares.
Oh gosh. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I heard recently that Feminizer might be getting a vinyl reissue of the debut album.
No,
A little someone might have told me that. I designed the layout, that's why.
awesome.
you told yourself.
Um, and yeah, I'm working on a couple splits right now with some fun artists.
Which you can
A
tell us when
couple
we
that,
stop recording.
huh?
Which you can tell us when we stop recording, if you'd like, obviously.
I certainly could.
You know,
Wouldn't you like to know?
you don't want to tell too much. You know what the press are like.
Oh yeah, we are the press.
Oh yeah, God, they're
Press.
obsessed with me. Oh my God. Can't keep them out of my yard.
Oh, I thought I was subtle.
You're the paparazzi.
Are you over there?
Yeah, I use
Y'all
my
are just like posted up in a van outside.
I use my finest John Cena camouflage.
Why this made me think of Matilda when like the government are investigating her dad and like he just doesn't know they're outside. Like her mum invites them in and she's like, they seem like nice people. No, they're investigating dad.
I actually just saw that for the first time not too
Same,
long
I
ago.
only watched it like I think it's like just after Christmas, but
They're
Yeah.
nice people.
I only
Oh
found out very
Lord.
recently it's actually Danny DeVito's wife.
And he made the film.
I didn't know he directed
Mm.
it.
Um, I don't know what else to plug though. I've got uh long sleeves available for pre-order right now. This is booty. Get your booty out of here. You can pre-order a Lust Hag long sleeve on Thea Productions Bandcamp right now. Those will likely still be up and available by the time this comes out. Other than that, that's like, I think keep an eye out for Termagant and Gun Girl. Those will be getting a physical release eventually. That's probably all I really have to plug.
That is a
Okay.
decent amount of content.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us. It was nice to speak to you about Hemorrhoid.
And one of the most chaotic podcasts
Yeah,
we've had yet.
it's been fun though.
It has.
Yeah, y'all are really fun to chat with. I really appreciate being on the show. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.